There's a moment in every relationship when you look at the person you've built a life with and wonder, can I really trust them? For many, this is just a fleeting thought, a brief second of doubt. But for me, it became a painful reality that tore my world apart. I was living a life I thought was perfect, one filled with love, sacrifice, and commitment. But when the truth came crashing down, I realized that nothing I had done, nothing I had sacrificed, had prepared me for the betrayal I was about to uncover. It all began in the early days of our relationship. We had known each other for a couple of years before we got married. The first 2 years were blissful. I was deeply in love with my wife, and everything about our life together felt right. We dated, we traveled, and we grew closer with each passing day. I was sure that we had something special, and so I made the decision to take the leap and marry her. Soon after, I quit my job at a company that no longer fulfilled me. It was a tough decision, but there was an incident that led to my departure. The timing was tough, but thankfully I found a better job in our state shortly after. Moving back to my hometown was a fresh start, and I was optimistic about the future. This new job was a significant upgrade from my previous one, but it came with a downside: frequent travel. It was demanding, but I made it work, knowing that the long-term benefits would outweigh the short-term sacrifices. The first year of our marriage was full of joy. We welcomed our first child, a beautiful daughter, into the world. The birth of our daughter brought a new sense of purpose into my life. I wanted to be the best father I could be, and every decision I made from that point forward was about providing a better life for her and my wife. A few years later, our son was born. Becoming a father again was the happiest day of my life. The bond I shared with my children was something that filled me with pride. But what I didn't know was that while I was dedicating myself to my family and my career, my wife was leading a double life, one that I would only uncover years later in the most painful way possible. In our 7 years of marriage, I did everything I could to make sure that my wife and children had a comfortable life. I worked hard, sacrificing my time, my energy, and my own desires. I worked long hours and traveled frequently for work, but I never let that affect my relationship with my family. My wife, too, was a hard worker. Together, we formed an unstoppable team. We supported each other through thick and thin. I took care of most of the financial responsibilities, but we agreed to split the bills 60-40. I made sure that we always had enough, even when things got tough. She had a good job, but I felt it was my responsibility to carry most of the load. And while I was busy with work and providing for the family, I didn't forget about our relationship. I made sure to surprise my wife with special dinners or little gestures of appreciation. I would occasionally send the kids to her mother's house for the weekend so we could have some time to ourselves. Our marriage, though it had its ups and downs, was always built on love and respect. We also made sure to take vacations together, even if it was just for a week. It was essential to me that we didn't lose sight of the importance of our relationship amidst the chaos of everyday life. I wanted to ensure that we never grew too distant, that we always took time to reconnect, no matter how busy things got. But despite all my efforts, I was blind to the cracks forming beneath the surface. I had no idea that my wife was hiding a secret that would shatter everything I had worked so hard for. One day, everything changed. I had a crucial business trip planned. The clients I was supposed to meet with had canceled, leaving me with an unexpected free day. Normally, this would have been a welcome break, but I had limited time with my children due to my frequent travel. So, I decided to spend the day with them instead. Earlier, my wife and I had agreed that I would drop the kids off at her mother's house on my way to the airport. But now, with my trip canceled, I decided to keep them home and enjoy some time together. We played games, laughed, and had fun. During one of our games of tag, I promised the kids that if they could catch me, I would treat them to ice cream, a rare indulgence. I knew this was breaking their mother's rule, but we made a secret pact. While they enjoyed their ice cream, I noticed them whispering to each other. When I asked what they were talking about, they made me promise not to tell their mother. I agreed, out of curiosity. What they told me next would change my life forever. The kids revealed that my wife had been inviting a secret friend over whenever I was away on business. This man would pretend to be their father while I was gone. He would stay in our home, sleep in our bed, and leave early in the morning before I returned. My heart sank as I processed their words. They even told me that this man would give them ice cream, just like I had promised. The kids weren't making this up. This wasn't the kind of story they could fabricate. And as the realization hit me, I could feel my world unraveling. My wife had been bringing another man into our home while I was away, using him to fill the role of their father. I couldn't understand how she could do this, especially after all the sacrifices I had made for her and our family. That evening, when my wife returned home, I tried to get information from her, but she denied everything. I knew she was hiding something, so I decided to take matters into my own hands. I tried to check her phone while she was sleeping, but I found nothing. That's when I decided to catch her in the act. 2 days later, I lied to my wife, telling her that I had another business trip. I told her I would be gone for 4 days. She bought it without hesitation, and I watched as she went grocery shopping with the kids, leaving me alone at home to prepare. I told her I wouldn't be driving and planned to hire an Uber to the airport, which she also believed. But I wasn't going anywhere. I stayed behind, hiding in the basement, waiting for the truth to unfold. About an hour later, I saw a man arrive at our house. I watched as my wife greeted him with a passionate kiss before inviting him inside. She had no idea I was hiding in the basement, watching everything unfold. I was consumed with anger and disbelief as I watched them together. I knew that my wife had betrayed me, but seeing it unfold in front of me was a gut-wrenching experience. I didn't confront her or her affair partner. Instead, I called her mother, informing her that our marriage was officially over. I asked her to come over and help my wife pack her things. Soon after, I heard the screech of a car as her mother arrived. She jumped out of the car, angry and yelling. My wife was shocked, and the look on her face when she saw me emerge from the basement was one of pure disbelief. She was speechless. I couldn't bring myself to confront her or her affair partner. All I could do was tell her to leave my house. I took my kids out so they wouldn't have to witness their grandmother tearing their mother apart. The days that followed were a blur. I was filled with a mix of emotions: anger, sadness, confusion. I had been betrayed by the one person I trusted most in this world. But I knew one thing for sure: I had to protect my children. Later that week, I arranged for a paternity test to confirm the kids were mine. The results came back, and I was relieved to know they were indeed my children. At least I didn't have to question that. But the pain of what my wife had done still lingered. I sat down with my kids and explained everything. I didn't go into too much detail, but I made sure they understood that their mother's actions were not their fault. I told them that I was getting a divorce and that things would be different from now on. They didn't fully grasp the situation, but they understood why I was divorcing their mother. I hired a lawyer and fought for custody of my kids. I wanted to make sure they had a stable and loving environment to grow up in. It wasn't easy, but I knew it was the right thing to do. In the end, I won full custody of my children, and they became my sole focus. My ex-wife tried to reach out, sending the kids to talk to me on her behalf, but I warned them about her attempts. I wasn't going to let her manipulate me or my children any longer. Now, I am a father raising 2 amazing kids on my own. It hasn't been easy, but I wouldn't trade it for anything. My children are my world, and I will do whatever it takes to give them the best life possible. As for my ex-wife, I have no desire to revisit the past. I've come to terms with everything that happened, but I know that I am better off without her. I am stronger now, more focused, and determined to create a brighter future for myself and my children. While I still carry the scars of betrayal, I know that my children will grow up with the love and care they deserve. And if I ever choose to remarry in the future, it will be when they are older and ready to see me happy again. Life has a way of throwing us curveballs, and sometimes it's the ones closest to us who hurt us the most. But through the pain, I've learned that what matters most is the love we give and the family we build. I have no regrets about my children, and I will always stand by them no matter what. The truth always comes to light, and even though it took years of sacrifice and pain, I am finally free to move forward.